And it's good to be together today, isn't it? And we have the opportunity to worship together, and there's no better place we could be today than right here. So thanks for being here. If you're watching online, thanks for joining us in worship. And it's Valentine's Day weekend. You guys had a good weekend? Everybody? Maybe not every. Okay, well, some clapping, some real good weekends. Hey, today we're going to continue our story, the story of Ruth. And we're going to celebrate love done right. And so before we do that, I want to celebrate something like that in our congregation. So Ed and Kathy Weaver, this weekend you're celebrating 50 years of marriage, correct? Congratulations. Can you congratulate them? God bless you guys. And don't be mad at me for saying it up here. Well, hey, it's Valentine's Day weekend. If you're wondering why I look so terrible, and why I kind of sound terrible, it's because it's been kind of a long weekend. Friday night, we've had sickness in our house all week. A couple of my kids were sick, and Friday at 11:30, now this will sound weird to you, but Friday night I thought I'm going to go to bed early. And so at 11:30, I was like, I'm getting in bed. Now, for some of you, that sounds late. For me, that's early. And I was thinking, I'm going to do the responsible thing, and I'm going to go to bed early. And then at 11:45, my phone rang. And it was Pastor Grace. Our teens are at winter retreat. And she said, hey, Eli is here and he looks like death. He's in bad shape. And so I said, well, I've got 3 basketball games to coach tomorrow. My assistant coach is out sick. And so I got 3 games tomorrow. I don't have the time tomorrow to drive in between. And so it's either tonight or late tomorrow night. And so I got on the phone with Eli and he said, please come get me. And so at midnight I left and I drove 2.5 hours to southern Indiana and picked up Eli and drove back and got back at 5 and then had a game at 9. 3 games yesterday. It was a great day. Hey, it really was great, but I'm kind of, forgive me for looking the way I look, okay? It's Valentine's Day weekend. Here's what I got. But today we're going to be in Ruth chapter 3. The story of Ruth is an incredible story of love, of God's love, and God's redemption. And today we're in Ruth chapter 3. Ruth chapter 1, we saw the beginning of the story. We met this family. And Ruth is the daughter-in-law of Naomi. Naomi and her 2 daughters and her husband, her 2 sons and her husband moved away from the promised land, moved to Moab, the place of Moab, because there was a drought. They tried to settle things their own way. They went. Tragedy struck. Naomi's husband passed away. Ruth and Orpah, the daughter-in-laws, both lost their husbands, so the sons passed away. And so we saw in chapter 1 this moment where Naomi back to your people. You'll be better off if you just go home, be with your people. But Ruth, we have this perfect moment where she says, no, where you go, I go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your people are my people, and your God is my God. And she makes this statement, I'm going to choose love and faithfulness. So that's Ruth chapter 1. In Ruth chapter 2, they head back to the promised land, back to Bethlehem. And we see that Ruth goes out into the fields and she's going out to glean, which was an Old Testament practice. It was that God said, hey, when you harvest your fields, leave the edges for those that are less fortunate to come and gather. And so God had put this thing in place that people could come and be taken care of. And so Ruth went out to glean, and she just so happened to glean in the field of Boaz. Boaz was a member of the family. He's what would be considered a kinsman redeemer. Now, in those days, if a husband passed away, then a relative, one of his relatives, could come in and redeem the wife by marrying her, providing, and then taking care of them and continuing on the family. And so she just so happened to be in the field of Boaz. This is, I said it last week and the week before, this is Hallmark. This is beautiful, perfect thing. Well, Ruth 3 is where it all comes together. And there is this beautiful moment. I want to start by saying this. When we love with faithfulness and obedience to God, it's God's greatest blessings. I said Hallmark and Netflix. Listen, I know some of you are into those movies. Pretty much any movie you watch, there's very few things that are put out there these days that really honor and glorify God and do things the way that He says we should do them. This is a beautiful story of not just love, but of faithfulness and obedience. It's good stuff. And Megan said yesterday, she said, do you have a backup plan for who's going to be there if you're not there? And I said, I'm going to be here. I'm not missing this one. This is too good. So stand with me, Ruth chapter 3. I'm going to read the whole chapter. It's long, just bear with me. One day, Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, "My daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for. Now Boaz, with whose women you have worked, is a relative of ours. Tonight he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, get dressed in your best clothes, then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you're there until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he is lying. Then go, uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do." "I will do whatever you say," Ruth answered. So she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. When Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly. She uncovered his feet and lay down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Ruth. I'm your servant Ruth," she said. "Now spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." "The Lord bless you, my daughter," he replied. "This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor, and now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. And although it is true that I'm a guardian redeemer of our family, there is another who is more closely related than I. Stay here for the night. In the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, then good. Let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning." So she lay at his feet until morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized. And he said, "No one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor." He also said, "Bring me the shawl you are wearing and hold it out." When she did so, he poured into it 6 measures of barley and placed the bundle on her. Then he went back to town. When Ruth came to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, "How did it go, my daughter?" Then she told her everything Boaz had done for her. And she added, "He gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Then Naomi said, "Wait, my daughter, until you find out what happens, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled today." Praise the Lord. You can have a seat. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through this story, and then I've got 3 big points at the end that I want to get to. But we're going to walk through this story. Guys, this story, like most of Scripture, is just filled with goodness. Little things that if you catch them, and you got to study to catch them, filled with goodness. So when we left chapter 2, Boaz has given Ruth the invitation to continue gleaning in the fields. She went into his fields. She was working. He noticed her, and he said, "You know what? Please stay here under the protection and provision that I can offer, and continue to gather, continue to glean until the end of the harvest." And so that's where chapter 2 ends. Chapter 3 picks up toward the end of that season. And all of a sudden we see that Naomi has a plan. In chapter 1, Ruth says, "Naomi, I'm going to stick with you." She chooses to be faithful and loving, and she says, "I'm choosing to be with you. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God." Now Naomi in chapter 3 says, "It's time for me to worry about your future." See, they've been provided for. They have food, but there's still the problem that Ruth, her future is uncertain. She's unmarried. She's living in a foreign land. And so Naomi comes up with this plan. And what we see is so good. This moment that we see that we're going to look at is so beautiful. And guys, I mentioned Netflix and rom-coms and all of that stuff. Hallmark Channel movies, they're fun, sure, whatever. This is really, really good stuff. So here's the plan. Number one, get dressed up. Get yourself smelling good. Get yourself looking good. You like this plan so far? Pretty good plan? I mean, this is a big thing you're going to do. So go ahead and get yourself smelling good, get your best clothes on, and then you're going to go meet Boaz. Now, there's a couple things, and I'm going to give you a lot of stuff here, and this will just be stuff that'll help you understand the story a little bit better. There's a couple ways we can see this. Number one, it was customary when someone had lost a husband and they were grieving that when they were ready to move on, they would clean themselves up, they would get themselves dressed up, and it was a sign that, hey, I'm ready for what's next. So maybe that's in play here. The other thing is this plan is to bring Boaz and Ruth together, and you don't want to go smelly and ugly, right? I mean, that's not Hallmark. That's not Netflix. That doesn't work. And so she says, get yourself dressed up, make yourself attractive. And then she says, go to the threshing floor. They're finishing up. They've been working all night. Go to the threshing floor. She says, but wait, don't do anything until he's done eating and drinking. Wait. And so she goes and she waits. Now, there's a couple reasons for this maybe. Number one, this wasn't to be a public event. This was something between Boaz and Ruth. Number two, he's probably just going to be in a better mood if you wait. And this moment is a big moment. I mean, she's putting herself out there. And so it would be wise to not interrupt him in his eating and drinking, but wait until he's done. Then she says, wait till he goes and lies down. This is maybe my favorite part. Says, watch where he lays down. All right, let me translate that for you. Don't get the wrong guy. Don't mess this up. Make sure you know exactly where Boaz is, because if you get the wrong guy, this all gets ruined. Watch, take note where he lays down. Then there's this weird thing. When he lays down and falls asleep, uncover his feet. Okay, there's a lot there, but what's going to happen if she uncovers his feet? Anyone? Oh, he's going to wake up. He's going to wake up. This is all part of the plan. Now, there is some significance to the corner of his garment, and we'll see that in a minute, but she says when he falls asleep, go ahead and uncover his feet, and then it sets the stage for what's going to happen. You see, you guys thought that when someone steals your covers, that's disrespect. It's really just this beautiful, it's this respect. It's this, hey, I want to be closer to you, right? No kidding. I mean, our room is the Arctic, and some of you men love that, not me. And I had these two blankets that I was using, one from Guatemala. Guatemalan blankets are not heavy, and so I had a Guatemalan blanket and then another one over it. And some of you guys are looking at me and judging me and saying you're a sissy, but I had these two blankets. And a couple weeks ago, Megan decided she was going to steal the better of the two blankets and put it on her side. And I'm telling you, for a week, I wasn't sleeping well. It's freezing. Finally got my blanket back, my blankie. I'm such a grown-up. Don't judge me. So she uncovers his feet. Just the corner of his garment uncovers his feet. And of course, he wakes up. Now, I want to talk about something really quick. I don't want to spend too much time here. But this plan, it's a plan. Naomi and Ruth put this plan into motion. I'll be honest, I've studied a lot of different places and people. I have done a lot of research on this. I'm not sure if this was a pure plan or this was a manipulative plan. Naomi certainly had tried to take matters into her own hands before. This certainly doesn't seem like a real good situation to put yourself in, to go to the threshing floor, to wait till he's asleep and everyone's asleep, and then to sneak in and to uncover. This seems not parent approved, right? Doesn't seem like the best plan. Now, maybe the intentions are pure, maybe, like I said, people are divided. Here's what I do know. The outcome is completely pure. Verse 7, when Boaz had finished eating and drinking, and he was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, and she uncovered his feet and lay down. Also a really good part. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. You ever been startled and not known who was around you? This happens to me sometimes. I wake up, I'm in a panic, and Megan's there, and I'm like, ah! Not because anything's wrong with her, but just because there's something wrong with me. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm your servant Ruth," she said. "Now spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." We see this situation, and listen, if you watch movies, if you watch Hallmark, Netflix, any of it, you're seeing plenty of situations similar to this. And 99.9% of the time, they are not God-honoring, pleasing situations. And the circumstances are here for things to happen that don't honor God. But what we see is that there's purity. This is not a situation I would want my kids in. It's not a situation my parents wanted me to be in. I'll never forget my senior year of high school, a big group of us, church kids, by the way, not all from our church, but different churches. We decided we were going to go to prom together. And so everyone decided that we were all going to spend the night at the same house after prom. All the guys, all the girls, a group of like 8 of us. My parents decided everybody but me was going to spend the night at that house. And I was a little upset about it. Everybody else is hanging out there. Why can't I go hang out with them? And here's what I want to say. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for not putting me in that position where I could have messed up. Thank you, Mom and Dad. This certainly seems like a position, and listen, whether the intentions were pure or not, here's the deal. Ruth and Boaz found themselves in a position. He's eaten, he's drank, they're laying on the floor. They find themselves in a position where there could be problems. But it doesn't happen. Instead, Ruth goes off script. Instead, she says, "Cover me with the corner of your garment, for you are a kinsman redeemer." Now, this is beautiful, guys. There's nothing sexual, there's nothing immoral, there's nothing dirty about this. This is basically a marriage proposal. Ruth says, "Take your garment that was pulled back and spread it over me." Now the language here is actually the same language we see in Ruth chapter 2 when Boaz says, "Hey, may God bless you, may he richly reward you, under whose refuge under whose wings you've taken refuge." Boaz said that to Ruth in chapter 2. He says, "May God bless you because you've taken refuge under his wings." That's the same language that's used here. Spread the edge of your garment over me. I want to take refuge under you, for you are a kinsman redeemer. This is a marriage proposal, which was perfectly okay because she had the right. As a woman whose husband had passed, she had the right to ask the kinsman redeemer to redeem her. And so what we see, what happens next in this moment, that 99.9% of the time our world shows us something different, what we see is something beautiful. Real love, real faithfulness, real obedience. Verse 12, Boaz says, "Although it's true that I'm a guardian redeemer of our family, there's actually another who's more closely related than I. Stay here for the night. In the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good. Let him redeem you. But if he's not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning." Now, this is important, guys. We need to see this. So she lay at his feet until morning, but got up and before anyone could be recognized. And he said, "No one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor." There's nothing dirty about this. They didn't do anything wrong. They were in that tough situation, but they chose faithfulness and obedience to God. Now, you might be wondering, why would he say, "Don't tell anyone"? That seems shady. But the truth is, this is about protection. See, if he says, all right, get out of here and I'll come get you tomorrow, that puts her at risk. But he says, no, just stay there. Nothing bad's going to happen. And then we've got to make sure nobody knows. Now, why would he say that? That once again seems shady. But here's the deal. If he's going to go to the other guardian redeemer, the other kinsman redeemer, and then if word gets out that she spent the night with Boaz on the threshing floor, we've got all sorts of problems. Instead, they live in obedience. And in the morning, she heads home. We've seen Boaz as a man of integrity. We've seen Ruth as a woman of virtue. And they're both walking in complete obedience to God. So much so that Boaz doesn't say, I've got you. He says, no, hold on. There's another person in front of me, another person that actually has the right to do this before me. And I want to, and I'm all in, but I'm not going to be disobedient. I've got to go take care of that first. So this is not your typical Netflix story. It's not your typical worldly story. This is a story of beautiful obedience and faithfulness. All right, 3 things. And I want to start by saying this, guys, and I'm not just talking about romantic love here. I'm talking about the love that God gives us, maybe in romantic relationships, maybe in friendships, maybe in your relationships with family members. Love is a gift from God, and it is worth doing right. Just to start, 3 things we're going to look at, but let me start here. Love is a gift from God, and if we do it right, there's great blessing. It's worth doing right. All right, so the first thing we see is that there is personal blessing in obedience and love and being faithful to God. See, Ruth in chapter 1 chooses to be faithful to Naomi. She says, I will stick with you. Your people are my people. Your God is my God. Wherever you go, I'm going. And so she chooses faithfulness. Now, 2 chapters later, maybe a few months later, we see that Ruth is going to be redeemed through this whole thing. Her choice to be obedient and faithful, her choice to do things the right way, now she ends up in a better position than she was before. She has a guardian redeemer. Boaz is going to redeem her. And not only that, Boaz is a great guy. She's taken care of. But I want you to see verse 10. Because I think Boaz's response is significant here. When she says, I want you to cover me with your garment, when she proposes, his response is this: the Lord bless you, my daughter, he replied. This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You've not run after younger men, whether rich or poor. Now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you're a woman of noble character. All right, here's what I want you to understand today. It wasn't just a blessing for Ruth. It was a blessing for Boaz. She says, will you redeem me? Will you take care of me? Can I take refuge under you? And he says, thank you. Because not only is it a blessing for her, but it's a blessing for him. See, she's a woman of noble character, and he ends up with a wonderful woman in this. He says, you could have run after other people. You could have run after money. Instead, you choose me. Thank you. Because she's such an honorable woman, Boaz is thrilled. Now, the question that I have in here, and it doesn't get answered, is, was she really good looking? It doesn't say. I'm going to guess yes. I don't know. Probably. I mean, it kind of matters, but you know. But here's the deal. It doesn't tell us if she's beautiful physically or not, but what it does tell us is that she's such a beautiful person and faithful person that Boaz knows that he has a blessing here. He's blessed. And then they come to this moment that our world gets wrong 99.9% of the time, and what do? They stay obedient and faithful to God. And they walk away from this night with no shame. That's important, guys. No shame. With no guilt. They walk away from this night completely pure and clean. Guys, that is Love is a gift from God, and it's worth doing the right way. We probably all have some regrets. Raise your hand if you have some regrets in life. All right, raise your hand if you're not honest, and the half of you that are either asleep or not being honest. We all have regrets, right? We all have things that we probably would have done different. I can promise you that you will never be sorry for living faithfully and obediently to God. Love is a gift, and there is so much blessing in doing it the right way. There's personal blessing in it. Number two, their obedience not only gives them blessing, it not only provides for them, but also Naomi and others benefit from it. When we love well, when we are obedient, when we are faithful, it actually spills out to others. You guys know that other people's actions and choices have an effect on you, right? Maybe some of you have been radically affected by the choices of people around you. Whether they loved the wrong way, loved the right way. I know that this is true for all of us. They have an effect, and the same is true here. This is so awesome. I want you to see this. Verse 16, when Ruth came home to her mother-in-law Naomi asked, "How did it go, my daughter?" And then she told her everything Boaz had done for her. And then she added, "He gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Now, that might not mean anything to you, but man, if you think back to chapter 1, Naomi went to Moab. She came back, lost her husband, lost her 2 sons. She comes back to Bethlehem, and they say, "Hey, it's Naomi. There she is." And Naomi says, No. Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because I'm bitter. And then what does she say next? She says, "I went away full, but God has brought me back empty." Here we are 2 chapters later, and God is still providing. And I don't think this is a small thing. Boaz says, "Yeah, I'll redeem you as long as it works out. I'm going to do it the right way, but don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed. Take this with you." I think God is just showing over and over again that he provides for his people. She thought that God had taken everything. Meanwhile, God was working through the story of Ruth and Boaz to continue to provide for Naomi. Our obedience can be redeeming and restoring for other people. Guys, I grew up in a house with 2. I grew up in a house with 2 wonderful parents who loved well, who were faithful and obedient to God. And I saw over and over again that when you do things the right way, there's so much blessing. And I personally have benefited and been blessed so much by their choices and their obedience and their faithfulness. Guys, your choices don't just affect you, they affect the people around you. When you're faithful to love and care for others, number 1, you'll never come away empty. But number 2, neither will the people around you. All right, the third thing, I'm already crying a bunch. This is maybe my favorite part. Their obedience redeemed the story of a girl who was born into brokenness, generational brokenness and sin. There's this really cool parallel we're going to see here. Ruth's story was a story of brokenness and pain. She comes from a people, I talked about this last week, the Moabites, who had a really bad past. They were thought of poorly. They were made fun of. They were enemies of God, and through her obedience, there's redemption. Not just redemption for her and Boaz, not just provision for Naomi, but generational change. And we're really going to look at this next week, but I want you to see this real quick. Ruth was a Moabite. I told you the Moabites have a pretty bad past. Genesis 19 shows us this past, and there's a really close parallel here that I would hate it if we missed it. See, in Genesis 19, Lot is with his 2 daughters. So once again, we have 2 women, and the daughters don't know what the future holds. And so they decide that they are going to take matters into their own hands. And so here is the story of how the Moabites became. And I got to warn you guys, this is ugly. It's dark. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar, settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger daughter, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine, then let's sleep with him and preserve our family line through our daughter, or our father." That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down and when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and then you go in and sleep with him so that we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab, the father of the Moabites today. 2 women, a plan. How are we going to take care of our future? And nights, a nighttime plan. And what we see in Genesis 19 is that Lot's daughters chose disobedience and unfaithfulness. And the result of that was a whole family of people. The whole Moabite clan became enemies with the Creator God. Not only that, they were ridiculed, they were looked down at. Everybody knew they were incestuous people. I mean, they became outcast because of their choices. Oh, don't lose this, guys. Don't let this be lost on you that Ruth, a Moabite, who comes from a generation of brokenness, incestuous disobedience, she finds herself in this situation in Ruth chapter 3. And all of the ingredients are there for more darkness and more ugliness, but instead, she chooses faithfulness and obedience. And in that, God redeems and restores a broken past. Here's the beautiful thing today. God's blessings and God's redemption are for any that will choose to be obedient and follow him. Any. Moabites. People who have broken past, people who have messed up, people who have sinned, people who have done the wrong thing. For anyone willing to choose to follow Jesus, there's redemption, there's hope, and there's a future. Amen. Next week, we're really going to zero in on what that looks like. Worship team, come on up. But today, I just want to end us there. Ruth chapter 3. A moment we see, if you watch TV, if you watch movies, you see this moment played out over and over again, and our world shows us the wrong picture. We see in Ruth chapter 3 a beautiful moment of obedience and faithfulness. In that, we see personal blessing. In that, we see that God blesses others through it, and in that, we see that God changes generations of hurt and pain and brings hope. Stand with me. It's Valentine's weekend, a weekend that typically the world is focused on love, romantic love. But listen, I want to talk to you just about love. Maybe some of you come from a really broken past. Maybe some of you have broken your past. Maybe some of you have messed up, or maybe you've been really strongly affected by the decisions of others, and maybe you find yourself today I got good news. God's blessings are here for you. His love, His protection, His provision, His salvation, His hope is here for you today. All it takes is choosing Him. I don't care where you've been, what you've done. I don't care if you're a Moabite. God's here. He loves you, and He's calling you to Him. We're going to respond. We're going to sing a song, God of Revival. I just want to invite you today, if you want to commit yourself to Him. Maybe you don't even have that broken of a past, but today you just want to say, God, once again, I commit myself to you. I want to invite you. You can come to an altar. You can pray at an altar. You can kneel at your seat, whatever it is. I want to invite you to respond to God's word. And today I want you to choose love, faithfulness, obedience. And I don't want anyone walking out of here without the blessing of God. Father, speak to us, lead us, guide us, help us to respond to you. We want revival. We want it personally. We want it to spill out to the people around us. We want it for generations to come. Redeem and restore what's broken now. Help us to choose you today. We give you everything. We surrender to you now. We respond in Jesus' name. Amen.